Hello, hello.
Hey man, how are you?
Dude, I'm doing pretty good. How you doing?
Good.
Good, good, good. Good shit. Um, so, bro, tell me everything. Tell me all the stuff going on. Yeah, kind of, I guess, what would you like to focus on today, overall?
Yeah, sure. So I'm playing Terran. Uh, just broke into Plat a week or two ago.
Nice.
Immediately like bombed out on a massive losing streak.
Yeah.
So I think I'm in like middle of gold somewhere at the moment.
Okay. So are you doing,
Uh,
are you kind of doing beat gym styles, or are you doing your own styles?
no, I'm doing beta GM.
Okay.
Um, so I'm only sort of doing. I've started working on incorporating sort of the Plat level stuff in the build.
Yeah.
So I think I've got the goal down pretty well. But yeah, I think part of the reason why I'm losing so much at the moment is I'm trying to incorporate, like the Reaper Scout, for example,
Yeah.
and it's just confusing. And yeah,
Sure. We can definitely talk about some of that stuff and try to make that feel less confusing, because it's really just like understanding what to look for, because you don't have to understand everything with that part of the game. You just need to understand, like, what's going to happen next for maybe the next couple minutes. um so yeah, well, I mean, we can definitely help clean that up. And then is there a matchup specifically you feel like you're struggling with, or is it just kind of overall?
definitely my win rate versus Protoss is the lowest, so I'm at like I think 40%.
All right. uh did you want to, so there's a couple ways we can kind of do this. Did you want to go through like replays where we can like break down some of the games you've already played, if you have that prepared, or do you want to just kind of like get a good overall like build established for exactly what you're looking for, like, because we can create something for you as well where it's like it's going to be like specific to you and what you want.
I'm pretty happy with BDGM, honestly. I think the main reason I sort of reached out was I'm getting, I guess, a lot of conflicting information, like
Okay.
just asking for help and stuff. Like, so the minute I ask for help anywhere, people just say, stop going mech against Protoss. And it's like, well, I don't think that's relevant to my league
It's
yet,
honestly,
really.
yeah, it's not. I would say the biggest thing for you is not wasting time. Like, StarCraft in general is going to be a game where like time is very, very important, and like you just said, the Reapers kind of messing everything up for you. And if that's what's happening, what I can already imagine is happening is you're trying to now add in another element to your gameplay that's not only distracting you because you have to control another unit you haven't done before, but it's also distracting the shit out of you because it's adding in a whole nother concept to the game, which is a lot more scouting. So it's something that indirectly makes you stop thinking about your build for a while, because you're like, what does this mean? What is he doing? I don't understand how to read this, but what does that mean? Okay, well, I'm scouting this down. What does that do? How should I counter this? And realistically, you don't have to counter it in any way. The only thing you do in Platinum, there's only like, so like scouting, honestly, you don't even have to do it in Platinum. Like with the Reaper, if you want to, you can. I'm not saying you shouldn't, but you don't have to. It's not mandatory, is all I'm saying. The only thing in Platinum that really changes based off of what you actually scout is if you look at something and you go, well, shit, mass stores can't really break that, so maybe I'll add in some tanks as well. And the only times that would really be a thing would be like if Protoss went heavy Robo, so if he had like a lot of Immortals, or if he had a lot of like Disruptors or something like that. If a Zerg went for like heavy Lurkers, and if a Terran player, Terran's a little bit more questionable, but it would be like something more like if the Terran player went like heavy fucking Marauders or something like that. Like tanks, well, in every shape, in every like one of these situations, tanks would be something nice to add into your army. Like, and we're just talking like maybe make like 6 of them, and then every time the fight starts, you just literally siege your tanks, and you don't micro shit. You just go, oh, fight's starting, siege tanks, and it's gonna make your chances of winning that fight go way up. It's still a move aside from that, and that's literally the only thing you change for overall, like all through plat, is you can add in some tanks if it seems like it makes sense.
Yeah, sure. So I have actually been adding some tanks
Yeah,
at
it's fine.
times. And yeah, you're right. Like they wreck. They're so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I've got some replays that we can look at
Sure.
if that's the way to do it. And
Yeah.
I think in both of them, I think I've cut the Reaper Scout. I'm just doing like the 5-minute scan scout instead.
Okay. Yeah, that
Um,
works. I guess we'll like obviously we'll keep talking in a second here, but the quickest and easiest way to get like myself and you in a party would be if you don't know how to do this, and if you don't know how to look at the Grandmaster list, I'll just explain it really fast. It's super easy.
nah, it's all good. I think I can find you.
Okay, I'm on rank 50 right now, and then yeah, we can just invite me that way, and we can jump into it. And as I tell everyone as well, just in case you might not know this, is if I'm ever like mid sentence and you want to ask me a question, you don't have to let me finish my sentence. You can definitely interrupt me because I don't want you to forget your thoughts. If you're like, shit, I want to say something, but he needs to finish what he's saying. Like you can, by all means, you can interrupt me.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, so just host whatever replay you want, and then before you start it, just make me the lobby host in the actual replay, and then I'll start the game.
Sure.
But when we're talking about scouting, honestly, the only thing you really should give a shit about, for the most part, is realistically, did they expand or not? And against Protoss and against Zerg, it's really easy to figure that out. The Reaper Scout, I would say, is only really going to do maybe something for you against Terran if the Terran player doesn't let you into his main base, and he still also builds a command center in the main base, and he's going to like float that Reaper to the natural. Or sorry, float the command center to the natural. Like you could figure that out because you have a Reaper. But realistically, yeah, it's all just expansions. It's really it for the first scout.
So I'm seeing a lot of my games are like very polar. I either smash people with a macro hammer, or I die to like early tech, essentially. So like this one it's a fairly short one. It's an early loss to
So like you're talking
Void.
like you get like possibly all in or some shit. Like it's a really heavy like pressure build.
Nah, it's look, to be honest, I probably rage quit this one before I really
Right.
lost. But it's so I'm just finding this this loss like was just super frustrating because, not to like shit on my opponent or anything, but I think my macro is much better than theirs.
Yeah, no, I would I'd agree with you if you're doing BetaGM styles.
But they turn up with like a super early void. Like I think it's like 420, which is, you know, I'm about to start my engineering bay for a turret.
Yeah.
And I just watch it shoot an entire base, and I give up and quit at that point, pretty much.
Well, I mean, we can. Well, I'll see how you play it out, and I imagine you still do at least SCV scout as well, like, cause I do remember.
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say I do remember I did do SCV scouts and BetaGym like all the time, just for like that one scout, just to kind of see what's going on, and what we can do for you to, you don't have to go Reaper, but one thing we can do for you to fix this more, is we could start looking at gas if you don't do that yet. We could actually start looking at how much gas this dude has, how early he has it, and that can tell you a lot of things. And when we get there, I'll explain it more. It'll be easier with a visual, I guess.
Sure. So I'm checking like 1 or 2 gas, but I haven't been counting the actual mined amount.
Yeah, it's like 1 or 2 gas is the huge part. Counting it's not super mandatory, but it still does help you. Well, yeah. So your SCV is going now, so we'll talk about it in just a second. But like for instance, let me just say this: if you see 1 gas and that's it, you know this dude is going to most likely expand. It's very likely. Like there's other things that we'll talk about in a second that you should look for, but it's very likely he's going to expand. If you see 2 gases before, like right as your SCV gets, right as the SCV of yours gets there, you're like, oh, sorry, just like breathe right there, Jesus. If you're like, oh, he's got double gas already. He's only at like probably 18 supply or 19 supply. He's already got double gas. That shit is not an expansion. Like, it could be one later, but that definitely is going to be a tech rush, because that is way too fucking fast. That means he's double gassing before he expands, and that makes no sense to go expansion early now. It means the priority should be tech, because otherwise if he expands, he'll just have a late expansion and have like 500 gas in the bank, That makes the build just would be awful. So if you read someone's build that is looking like it's going to be heavier tech faster, like for instance double gas before expansion, your build could be a way where you could then make the engineering bay faster. Like that's literally what you could just react to it with. By you just go, okay, well, standard gas, I go for normal engineering bay. Fast gas, I go for faster engie bay, and we could give you a timing to, like, you know, accommodate that with if your build looks like it's fucked.
Yeah.
But yeah. A lot of it too, literally, the big thing is I'll be looking at your build too to make sure nothing's really like super messed up, because the early game, no matter what your opponent does, honestly, in platinum and below, you should be able to counter all-ins and also macro builds all the same. It should be like you should be losing to maybe like 1 game out of like 10 of pressure builds. And the reason why I say this for platinum and below is because in platinum and below, people do shit like what I just said, where it's like double gas means he's gonna tech, and if you prepared as if he was gonna tech, so you play a little safer, but then he just expands, you're still ahead because you're playing efficiently safe, which is a little bit less efficient than kind of greedy. It's just the safe version, but he's playing inefficient as fuck. So like you still end out way ahead because his build is super inefficient, if that's what he does.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah, people do that shit in platinum all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, this is not like a great timing or anything. Like it's literally one void at 420 or something silly.
Yeah. All right. So we're looking at investments now. Just to throw this out there, just in case as well. If you don't think about the game like this is a big deal. You should always think about the game as soon as your worker gets to his base, because this is an early scout, so every race works like this. Look at what you've done for investments, and then compare that to what your opponent's done. And just to throw this out there, every supply structure costs the same for every race. So an overlord, a depot, and a pylon, they all have the same build time, and they all have the same cost, which is 100 minerals. For Protoss and Terran, I guess we'll just focus on Protoss and Terran because it's the matchup we're playing. But for Protoss and Terran, the gateway and the barracks, same cost, same build time. The orbital command is not available until after the barracks. The cybernetics core is not available until after the gateway. They both have the same cost. And then a simulator and a refinery, they cost the same exact amount, which is 75. The Nexus and the command center cost the same amount, which is 400, and they have the exact same build time. Like, all these things have the same build time and the same cost. So you can literally look at what you have, and you can go, what do you have compared to what do I have? And is anything not adding up here? Like, is something not matching here? And you don't even have to, like, actually look at your base right now and be like, what do I have? Because, I mean, if you do it enough, you're going to know exactly. You should know exactly what you have, which is barracks. Yeah, exactly. You know your build up to this point. So if you look at what his build is, you can quickly identify it and go like this. What do you have? We can already see, this dude is not expanding, because I can already tell that probe, the way that probe is moving, is moving to the gas. He's already got he's already got a forge. He's already got double pylon. So he's got double gas, double pylon, forge, and a gateway. That forge would be like you building an engineering bay really early. That second pylon would be like you building your second depot already, and that it would already almost be done. It would be like 60% of the way done, or like 50% of the way done rather. And then yeah, double gas. So this is a lot of investment already from him, where you should already be able to tell that this dude has no money in the bank, whereas you do, because that he's already spent an extra like 300 mineral investment over what you've done. Does that make sense so far?
Yeah, totally. Okay. And you can see it. Like,
yeah.
I've got a massive bank and he doesn't.
Yeah, and it's because you're gonna expand, and so it makes sense for you to do this. And I would say, like, right now, if you were gonna, so I'm not gonna critique you that hard, because I don't think you should think about this too much right now. But for instance, expanding on the high ground right now, it doesn't need to happen. You could 100% be safe expanding on the low ground if you wanted to. The only thing that would be a problem would be if this dude cannon rushed you. And I'll say right now, it's very unlikely that this guy would cannon rush you, and the reason why is because cannon rushes cost 0 gas, and this guy hasn't even started cannon rushing you yet, and he's already got double gas. So if he were to actually cannon rush you, it would be very fucking weak, because this gas investment would make his cannons super late. Like if a Protoss is actually gonna cannon rush you, they should start their pylon to cannon rush you around like 50 seconds in the game, maybe to like a minute, and it's already almost 2 minutes here, and he hasn't even started. So, like, if he were to do that, it would be very delayed, and you would already be able to have access to like making Marines or whatever you wanted to make to counter it.
Yeah.
Or go ahead if you're gonna say something.
No, so basically, I think from memory, the way I'm reading this is double gas, no expand, aggression. And sort of my only response to aggression at the moment is the high ground CC.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, that's why I was saying I don't want to critique it too hard. I agree with you. So like, if you're still gonna CC high ground it, that's totally fine. It's not. I just wanted to like make you think about it for a second, but we can move by that point. It's not the biggest deal.
So you can, like, I can't tell, but you can tell that it's not going to be some ground aggression at this point.
It shouldn't be.
So,
and the reason why is because, think about it like this. This is the easiest way to explain it. Double gas means tech, but he's not prioritizing his tech because he hasn't even started a core. If you don't build a core, every single expense you can build without a core is no gas.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense.
So yeah, if he was gonna do something without, that doesn't have, if he was gonna do some type of aggression that required no gas, which is something along the lines of a probe, a pylon, a cannon, and a zealot, or a nexus even, all those things are pure mineral, and that all the gas would do is just slow his build fucking down super hard. So it makes it super weak. So that's why it's not intimidating, is because if he even did do it, you'd be like, what the fuck is this? Like, this is like 2 cannons. Okay, you could have like 6 or something, but yeah. So that it seems unlikely. So there should be a core being thrown down, and I would say the read of going aggression does make sense for future, because if he's going to invest in a double gas, that does hint that he's going to tech, and that could be many things. That could be a warp gate all in, that could be a Stargate timing like you said it is, that could be robo. I would say the fact that he paired a forge with it usually means it's going to be Stargate. I would say, like, if I had to guess, okay, let me explain why really fast. If someone makes a forge this fucking fast, it's usually gonna be for a what's it called? For a Stargate, because the only other thing it could be for, realistically, is ground weapons, like a +1 weapon upgrade timing. But it makes no sense to get the +1 weapon timing this fast, because if you were to go for a forge and get +1 weapons, and you were going to wait and super fucking delay your Twilight Council to upgrade your units, like for Blink or for Charge or for Resonating Glaives, which that's what you kind of need for +1 to even be worthwhile. Because if you just do a straight up like +1 slow Zealot fucking all in, like, it's the worst thing in the world. It's so bad. Or like +1 no Blink Stalker. Like, all these kind of timings, if you don't actually upgrade the gateway unit, they're all garbage. So bad. So if you're going to do a ground timing, it makes more sense that he's going to be doing that if he's going to prioritize the council first and then make the forge, because then the upgrades would line up together. Whereas if he was going to do that, if he was going to be like, I'm going to go Blink Stalkers with +1, and he gets a +1 weapon upgrade first in the forge and then makes the council after, he's going to have +1 weapons like 50 seconds before he has Blink. It's going to be like a super awkward timing, but it's going to be super delayed because he has to wait for so long for Blink and gets +1 super early. So that's why it makes more sense to go Stargate, and the reason why it makes sense to go Stargate, if someone makes a forge this fucking fast, is because now he's probably going to spend all of his gas on Stargate units, and he's going to probably spend 0 gas on gateway units, because instead he's going to supplement gateway units with cannons defensively. So I would not be surprised if he makes like 2 cannons in his base or something like that. And that's probably the best way you could read this. It's the most commonly, common things that happen, I guess. Okay, so your build, I would say right now, we'll see how long it takes, but I would say it's already now becoming a little bit off. I'm gonna actually back it up and look at your command center for a second. Okay, you made an orbital, which is fine. I like it. The orbital should start when the barracks is done, and you did pretty much do that. But your second gas was a bit late, and we'll see how late it is. You start. The orbital command is also a little late. It was a bit late by probably like 12 seconds or like 10 more like 10 seconds. It does add up a little bit, and I know you're not building it because you're looking at the SCV. Just make sure. I would say the best way I could help you on that is probably hotkey your barracks and hotkey your command center. And the reason why you should hotkey both of them, and maybe don't put them in the same control group if you don't already do this. And you can literally take the barracks out of your hotkey if you don't want to have it anymore for just your factories. That's totally fine. But it would be not a bad idea to hotkey your barracks in the start of the game. And the reason why this is relevant is because you could be in his base right now scouting him by going worker, and you can even hotkey the worker. Let's say the worker's on 1, the barracks is on 4, and the command center is on 5. You could go like this: 1, right click; 4, just look at the bottom middle of the screen and be like, is it still under construction? If the answer is yes, then you're just still waiting on it. But you're getting like notifications like it's 75%, it's 86%, it's 95%. So every time you check it, it's a notification as to how close it is to being done. So it's like refreshing your memory to think about it. Like, yeah, it's coming soon. It's really soon now. Yeah, it's about done. Same thing with number 5 is you should be checking number 5 while you're in his base, going, am I making SCVs? And then that barracks, when that barracks finishes, that tells you, okay, no more SCVs. Let's make that orbital. So it's just like tabs on checking shit, even though you're not actually having to stare at it in your base. So it's definitely very useful to do this. And then if your SCV's hotkeyed, you can go, if you need to macro anything, you can go double tap 5-5 or double tap 4-4 to the barracks or the command center. You could build a depot, you could build your factory, whatever you want to do. And then if your SCV is hotkeyed, you could double tap 1-1 and it goes right back to your scouting SCV. So it adds like fast elements of micro to like, it's not even really micro, it's just control of the game, like control of what you have. Because obviously you're not really microing the SCV, you're just kind of like walking around his base. But it's much faster than dragging your screen up and down the map or clicking on the mini map.
Yeah, sure.
So definitely useful. I would say if you don't do that ever, I would highly recommend to start doing that. You're gonna have to do that eventually anyways. But the big one that I want you to take away from this is definitely the hotkey your barracks for the reminders of how close it is to being done. Because like that orbital command had no reason to be that late. It was just, I think it was just because you were scouting and you were like, you know, getting distracted.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And then your command center starts on a very good time. I liked it. It was good. Your factory should be starting immediately right after you have 100 gas. You should already have an SV, I would say, like running down there to build it. You do. Good job. I'm not gonna say that was bad right there. That was good. And then I would say, like, right now, you should immediately be starting your next gas. And you should like start an SCV as soon as the orbital command's done, and then you should immediately be starting a depot. So we'll see how long it takes to do these things. But your gas, like I said before, your gas is very delayed. The reason why this is delayed is because you're not going to be able to afford a tank. It's going to be super late. And then you won't be able to afford a second factory either for a while. Because the reason why a second factory is important is because it adds an element of having Hellions in your build. Like that factory started now. It's at 3 seconds in production, and your factory is 31 seconds in production, and they should start within about 3 seconds of each other, because you might not have exactly enough minerals to build it right when you start the factory. But that basically that gas should have been started roughly like 25 to 27 seconds ago or so, like somewhere around there, not 31, or you know what I mean. Like it should have been started for like a while now. Like the gas should be actually finished already, and it should be already fully mining now.
Yeah, right.
Your depot timing is fine though. You're not actually supply blocking, which is the whole point of that. You're swapping over, and you're gonna have to wait on a tank just for a little bit, but you can't make your second factory, which is a big deal. Your second tank is now also being a little bit delayed. So this is another thing too, where you do have it hotkeyed now, which I'm glad about. At this point now too, I would say if you have your barracks hotkeyed with your factory, you probably don't need to have your barracks hotkeyed anymore. You could just, as soon as you build the factory, if you wanted to, you could just replace now the factory in group 4 and not have the barracks there anymore. Because if you still do have it, barracks does take priority. So every time you want to macro out of the factory, you're gonna have to go 4 tab factory, which is just an extra annoying step. That's why I was saying it's just a temporary thing. But the fact that the tank hasn't started, this is kind of critical for you. Like, this is what's going to fuck you for all types of pressure builds and all-ins if you do things like this, where it's just delayed. So it's just the sequence of just always being in the habit of going 4, 5, 4, 5, like every 3 seconds or every 2 seconds. That's what you should be doing. 4, 5, 4, like build a depot, 4, 5, saturate my gas, 4, 5, build a depot, 4, 5. You know, while you're doing it, you're always looking at it, being like, okay, start an SCV, start a tank, things like that. Because you're, I mean, we could look at it. If I didn't, I can't remember exactly what I would be at by 5 minutes, but the pace you're going at right now, I'm a little bit worried for you to see what you're going to be at by that time. Because here's the thing too that's crazy. If you were to build a engineering bay, okay? If you were to build an engineering bay as soon as your first tank is done and as soon as you start your second tank, which I haven't done beta gym for a long time exactly, but that's, I don't remember if I told people to do that exactly that way, but that's not a bad idea. If you if you're, especially if you're playing against double gas, if you just make, okay, one tank's out, make an engineering bay now, because you could easily afford it at this point, that'd be fine. You would be able to 100% have turrets up in time if you needed it. And I would say as well, it wouldn't be the worst idea to make blind turrets in a game like this when your opponent has prioritized double gas, which is, and also with a forge, which is definitely not going to be an expansion anytime soon.
Yeah, so I'm making blind turrets, but I'm not starting engineering bay till 4:30.
Yeah.
So turrets aren't up till like 5:30 or so.
Yeah, a 4:30 engineering bay, just to start the engineering bay itself, is super, super late. I don't know if I did that as well myself, but that is fucking super late.
Yeah, that's basically what you recommend at gold level anyway.
Okay. Because like I'm just looking at it for like a game like this, where if they expanded, I would see no problem with that. But if they go for double gas, that's seems like death. Also,
yeah.
The other thing too is, I'd have to watch my series again, but I feel like, in general, even if I did or did not say this, this would not be a bad idea. Okay, you have 2 options. You could pick either one. You should do either. If you see anyone who looks like they're not going to expand because again they have double gas, you should pick either an engineering bay at one, as soon as one tank is out, start engineering bay as soon as you start tank number 2, or start a armory as soon as you start tank number 2. It'll be easier to start the engineering bay because you won't have to wait on gas. You might have to wait on gas for a tiny bit if you go armory, but at least this gives you the option to go for a faster Thor. So if you were to see double gas, you could maybe go for like 3 tanks into a Thor instead of 4 tanks into Thors. Or maybe even if you actually prioritized 1 tank and then an armory and then made a second tank, you could actually go 2 tanks into a Thor if you were really paranoid about the possibility of a air unit. Because I'm not gonna lie, having a wall and having at least like 2 tanks is already gonna fucking be a massive problem for people who are doing any type of a ground all-in anyways. And if you have a faster Thor or if you have more tanks, it's gonna be really strong anyways behind a wall. But yeah, having literally no air defense at all against double gas is pretty scary. And yeah, if you're looking to like really perfect your game against people who open up high tech possibility, that is something I would say definitely is a change for the way you play.
Yeah, I mean definitely. Like I'd say the biggest source of my losses is rush tech for sure.
Yeah, because I feel like 1 tank and then your choice of anti-air needs to happen. And I would say honestly, I would recommend that no matter what. Like whether it be a fucking like an expand build or not. Like it should be, you should pick one or the other of an engineering bay or an armory no matter what every time after 1 tank. You could, and then obviously you can add the other one on a little after. Because you shouldn't be making the both at the same time either. So I would say just to throw it out there, make your life easy. Just make your build like this. Just alter it this way. Make a tank. Make your second factory. And as soon as your tank pops out of the factory, the first tank, as soon as it is done, or as soon as it doesn't have to be perfect. As soon as it's almost done, as soon as it is done, as soon as you have enough money for an engineering bay, while the tank is in production and you're not like cutting things out of your build, you will have the money to do it. Then just add an engineering bay in. So you'll be definitely building the engineering bay a lot sooner. Right after you've started the first tank in production, somewhere along the lines before it's done or as it's done. And then you start, as soon as your engineering bay is done, you can just make a turret in each mineral line. Just one turret. And not like, for instance, how your natural is right now. I know this is a reaction after you saw the Void Ray. But don't ever do this, like, ever. Because the goal would be you would just get Thors out, and you would just repair the turret for whatever is attacking you, and then you would just get Thors. Like earlier, if you haven't already started Thors yet. And Thors would be the answer to whatever is attacking you with air. Because if you make too many turrets, this is a problem that a lot of players fall into where they think static D is actually the answer, or they make just a fuckload of it. So if you made like 3 turrets in your base, and your main and natural, like that kind of shit's going to slow you down like crazy. And you should just rely on the one turret, especially since you can repair it. That's going to deal with the early harass, and then the Thor will actually pound whatever the fuck actually hits you after that.
Yeah, so I think he kills the worker on the tech building, so I can't actually build Thors.
No, I know that. At this game, I know you can't. But that's what I mean is the build would be changed, or you already would have had a turret. Like, you 100% would have had a turret before this Voider got here. If you just... Because your first tank was super late. By, like... what was like 10 seconds or something? And then... if we're going to have your first tank be the basis of your engineering bay, you really, realistically... I'll give you a number, okay? We'll give you a number on the clock. Your engineering bay should be going down, honestly. And your gas is super late too, so your tank started late. That's why as well. But your engineering base should be starting roughly around, we'll say, like 3 minutes. Honestly. Right about 3 minutes. Anywhere around that should be when your engineering base starts then.
Sure.
And then, because that'll be in the time of your first tank being started. And you can see your first tank doesn't even start until about 3 minutes. It's 2:58. So this tank was a bit late. And your engineering base, the way it'll line up, the way you can line it up in your head, there's 2 ways to do it. And this is how you can feel like you're doing it correct. The first way you can line it up is literally if you see 3 minutes on the clock, yeah, it's time for my engineering bay. If your first tank's already in production, you should think to yourself, okay, well, I need to make my engineering bay. And another way you can look at it is this is also right around the time that you should be starting your second factory. So your second factory is also late. And which is going to also help you deal with other types of all-ins that could be like zealot based or whatever, because you'll have a lot more Hellions to soak shit with that hits you that's on the ground.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I'll just speed up now because this game is that was pretty fucked what happened, and I can totally see you dying from there because this is setting you back so far behind.
Yeah, to be honest, I just give up.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this game, I would say this game's not great. Obviously, it's not like, oh yeah, we'll get in this position every time. But I would say this game wasn't super over, but it was. If you get in this position, it's shit anyways. And then if you throw it away, I don't really care. It's fine. Because just building a turret is literally going to answer your problems here. Like I'd say, just building a faster engineering bay, so altering that about your build is fine. And the reason why it is not a problem is because you can afford it. Like I don't know if I did it in maybe gold or platinum. I know I did this at some point though. I did tell people to start building like your armory after one tank for this potential thing that could happen, or an engineering bay, because of the fact of something like this where it's like a fucking air unit. I just can't remember when I fucking told people to do that, but I remember I did. There was a phase where it happened, but yeah. So just start changing that about your build, and it'll change this all, like, super easy fix for you, for that.
Yeah, sure.
And then, I have a suggestion, I guess, and it's, if you want, we can really quickly jump into a game where I will play for literally only 5 minutes, and you can be a referee. And it's just, I could give you an example of exactly like the build order pacing. So if you ever feel like it's getting convoluted for yourself and you're like, wait, what the fuck was it again? Like, was it like, why do I feel like I'm falling behind in any way? If you ever start struggling, you can just go back to that replay and compare yourself to that replay again. And it's like the first 5 minutes is like going to be the good setup for what's going to happen afterwards for the B to Jam style.
Yeah, sure.
All right. So either you can just make a custom game if you want, or you can just make me leader. Either way, I don't really care what map you make. If you make it. All right,
There you go, I'll just give it to you.
Sure. And then yeah, just I would say if you ever do use this for another reference again in the future, like to just keep doing it. Have you ever watched me do the notepad technique that I've talked about for like teaching people how to play?
The like the timings.
Yeah, like the 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, just breaking the game down by minutes essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think I have.
Yeah, I would highly recommend doing that if you want to really utilize it as much as possible, because it breaks the game down. It makes it less confusing, but it's not looking at everything all at once.
Yeah.
All right, so this will be the Reaper lists example. And yeah, I'll stop it at like 5 minutes. Oh, and really quickly, is the other game you want to look at, is it TvP as well, or is it a different matchup?
Nah, it's TvP as well.
Okay, that's all good.
I mean, the same sort of problem applies to all matchups. Like, we've got a loss recently to like mass overlord dropped lurkers and stuff. It's always tech. Like, I feel pretty confident against most ground aggression.
Yeah. Well, if you can do the build we're gonna do right here, to like a very real extent of what we're doing right now, like because again the first 5 minutes, I did see a few things that were stalled out here and there, and if you can do this really, really, really efficient up to 5 minutes, you're already gonna feel so much better for everything else after that. Because just getting the first 5 minutes down, if you can really push yourself to do that, it's gonna improve your macro beyond that point as well.
Yeah, it's funny, like, I know I can hit my tank as early as starting as 240, and I didn't even notice that game that it was like 20 seconds late.
Yeah.
So.
Well, all you look for now, just because you have a goal now, it'll be, okay, I'm going to look at his base, and I'm going to go, how many gases does he have? That'll be your whole game plan. Just gas count. So you go, all right, double gas, cool. You just fucking leave his base. And now that just means cool aggression. So it reinforces the fact of that one NG Bay turret.
In the rear with the gear. Bad news. In the rear with the gear.
Command center upgraded.
And we're going to make a gas really fast now. So we made the SCV first. Make the gas second. We can make the tech lab. And we can make the depot.
SCV ready. You're the boss. Yeah. What's going on? SCV ready.
Add-on operational.
And now with this gas being started, I should be able to start a tank right away. And I should also be able to start a second factory very soon after I make the tank. Like, my gas is going to start ramping pretty quickly here.
Bad news. SCV ready.
Okay, and here comes my second factory. I can actually lift off this barracks because it's kind of the command center is kind of in the way. And now we can start engineering bay at this point, I would say. Like, right after you make the orbital, start an engineering bay. And then you can make a reactor. So this is roughly around the same time of the factory in NG Bay. Make a second tank as soon as we can. And then we can lift off our command center, go to the natural. And now we can make a turret in both mineral lines. And this is going to put us at turrets started at like 330. Roughly.
Yeah.
Add-on constructed.
Okay, we can rotate our factory now to Hellions. And we can start making depots in the doorway. Make another tank in a second here. And now I would say should honestly, when you start like tank number 3, if you're gonna go Inji Bay first, like if you make Inji Bay while you're making tank number 2, make your armory when you make tank number 3.
Yeah, that's standard.
Yeah, and this will be a this build's gonna take us all the way to 4 tanks by 5 minutes.
SCV ready. Fueled up, ready to go.
And then now we have a pretty good saturated natural, so we should take our gases because we're also getting ready to go into Thor's now. And at this point now, the Void Ray would have been hitting you. So like if it was hitting you and it was annoying, all I would say you should do is if it's gonna hit your tanks, just back off, go to your turrets, just so you don't get fucked, until your Thor comes out.
Yeah.
And then you know, then you'll be okay. It still might be annoying, but yeah, your Thor won't take that long to come out.
One thing I saw in one of your Zerg replays was if you get hit by air like this and you've got units that just, you know, can't attack it, is just move them at their base, just so they're at least doing something.
I wouldn't recommend it for this style because when I would do that in the Zerg version is with roaches, and roaches are much more replaceable.
Yeah.
If you just throw your tanks
right.
away, it's pretty fucking devastating to the Terran.
Yeah, right.
And then yeah, so I'll just go to 6 minutes because we're so close to it. And then at this point now, you would want to start your 3rd command center, and you would just literally pump Thor and Hellion off of the double factory setup for a little while. Like I would say, you don't actually want to make extra factories until like a little bit down the road, maybe like 120 supply. Then you'll make like 3 more. Like once your 3rd base gets actually saturated, and the reason why you wait till your 3rd base is saturated is because your natural should be oversaturated by the time your 3rd orbital is done by like 12 SCVs, because you're not stopping SCV production. So you can almost insta-saturate your 3rd, and that's when you can take a 4th, and you can also explode your factory production because now you can afford it way more, just because you have a much higher economy at that point. And those would all be like tech labs, or like at least 2 tech labs in one, 2 tech labs in 1 reactor. All right, I'll stop at 7 minutes just because I'm talking, we're here, just so you have an idea of what you the numbers you should be able to hit. Like we're already at 100 supply, 109 supply at this timer. All right, I'm gonna stop it right here. So yeah, I hope just save this replay and just try to aim everything we just did here. Try to keep up with those timers up to 7 minutes. So your timer now will be up to 7 minutes. That's even harder, that's even better because there's something else you can grow into even more if you can keep up with it for that long. But the big thing you should just count this, okay? Not only count supply and counting supply and worker count's gonna be a big one, but if you want to get really specific, you can also count how many units I actually have. Count how many Hellions I have at a certain point. How many Thors do I have? How many tanks do I have? And stuff like that. When you expand to a 3rd, we already did take a 3rd in this game. The 3rd's right there. So, but yeah, just really pay attention to keeping up with it every minute, and then the closer you can get to that, the more everything. If you just do the opener this way with the blind turret, now you go into Thor. No openers of Platinum will really feel like they're that big of a deal. This is super efficient version of what Plat could be.
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right, I'm gonna make you leader again, and then I guess pop us into the next one, and we'll take a look.
Great, thanks.
All right. Oh, it's Cyril, dude. Shit.
Yeah, you know.
Damn, dude.
Hey, I win this one.
Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah, I don't think you need my coaching anymore. You're fucking set.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll look at your you know, your macro again, making sure, you know, if I see moments where like it's kind of fucked up, we'll talk about it. But yeah, yeah. We'll see. Yeah, so far things look fine. Overall, that's annoying for you. If that ever happens, if the probe ever does that, the second the probe does that, immediately click your mineral line and grab one SCV and go to your barracks first, and then tell the SCV that's building it to halt second. And if the probe, you know, it's gonna probably stay there. The next thing you do, so so it's a 3-step thing. Grab an SCV, bring it down to the barracks. That's step 1. Step 2, halt the SCV building and send it to the mineral line. Step 3, grab another SCV off the mineral line and bring it down as well to attack the probe. It's fucking annoying, but you can't guarantee that the probe's gonna leave or not. And if he doesn't leave, you can't just keep leaving only one SCV at a time to build the barracks, because every SCV will keep having to run away, and it'll make this barracks take forever to build. You want to just maximize the barracks never stopping being built, basically.
Yeah, makes sense.
SCV ready. SCV ready.
Okay, so you see a guy going double gate, core. That's already a bigger investment than you're doing again, so this looks like another potential aggression player. I would say the only thing you didn't scout was you didn't scout the second gas. And if you saw that second gas, that would be, you know, that's a fuckload of information right there. That this guy's expansion is going to be super late if he goes for it. But like, it's not, again, it's not going to alter your build really. Your build should be the same either way. It's just, it would make you feel more confident in the game to go, okay, I'm way ahead. Because this guy's build is like, if he does expand, it's like, it basically, if he doesn't kill me early or fuck me over early, he's just going to be behind if I'm playing standard.
Yeah.
Your doorway is a little fucked up. Your barracks moved too far back, I think. Is it? No, actually, never mind. I'm just kidding. I'm crazy. It looked off, but it's fine. It's actually fine. I'm crazy.
Add-on complete.
Alright, wait, I gotta see this. When did you start your factory again? And your gas, I mean. Yeah, so your gas is always super late. I don't know if it's a standard for you, but definitely fix that.
Yeah, I've been aiming for finishing with the factory, not starting with the factory.
Okay. This will help you just to get your timers down faster, because it's going to make everything faster for you. The only thing it might do to you that'll change the build possibly a little bit is it might make your third base a tiny bit slower, but it will 100% make your Thor timing a lot faster. And if you're struggling on dealing with people who go air, and you're like, or like people who do tech builds to you, and you're like, fuck my life, dude, like this is annoying. It's just gonna speed up all of your factory production to go and do faster Thors, because it's not gonna be a lot of idle time.
Add-on complete.
SCV ready. SCV ready.
Our SCVs are under attack.
SCV ready. SCV ready.
Yeah, like that factory. Yeah, it's just, this is scary, is all I can say
SCV ready.
for the early game.
SCV ready.
It's funny because it's actually fine because he goes ground.
SCV ready.
Oh, yeah, no, for sure. But the one thing, the reason why I say it's scary is because if, for instance, if this guy was going double gas, multiple gateway, and if he prioritized a council and he went charge lots, you would die. Like one base charge lot all in, or like 2 base charge lot all in, either one of those would kill you. But it would be weird if it was 2 base, because if you went double gas, double gate before expanding, it would make more sense to go like 1 gate, expand into a core, into a double gas, into more gates then, if he was going to do a 2 base charge lot all in. But either way, if he charged all into you right now and you had no Hellions, it would probably kill you. Unless he was really inefficient about how he focus fired stuff, like maybe he attacks your command center or something.
SCV ready.
Yeah, this is just
Our SCVs are
it's just risky. That's all it is. Sorry, it's risky with the delayed anti-air possibilities. And the meta does change by little over time, and Void Rays did get buffed, so that's probably why you see more Voids. Like they got buffed like a month ago or something, or like a couple weeks ago.
upgrade complete.
Yeah, right.
Also, here's the tip. If you're fighting against someone who's being annoying as fuck with stalkers, the way you sieged your... I would say the best way to do it... I love your first tank. First tank is perfect. Your second tank, honestly, should have been within the range of where... I would say between your two tanks underneath the cliff. So, when you look at the VOD, you'll see where I'm greenboxing. But it's literally like the two tanks on the left of the... Like, so you have three tanks at the bottom of your natural. The two tanks on the left is what I'm talking about. And if you go right between them, that would be like the perfect place to put your second tank. And the reason why I say that's a perfect place to put your second tank is for this reason right here. If you click the tank on the high ground and you scroll your screen down a little bit to look at the other tanks, you'll notice the range radius. It tells you how big the range is of the tank's auto attack, which is pretty fucking large. And if you were to put a tank in between tank 2 and 3 below the tank on the high ground, you would have enough range to where that tank between the other two tanks could shoot stalkers harassing your wall really easy. But if the stalkers dove that tank right there where it would be, the tank on the high ground would help it and shoot the stalkers as well. So you want ideally your second tank to be in range to where it can shoot as far as possible. You know, you siege it as far as you possibly can, but it's still covered in range of your first tank. So covering it in stalker, like you would siege it half the way to its full max siege radius, which would be about where, like I said before, like between the two tanks that are already there. Because if you doubled that, it would be like the max range. And the way you can build your depots then would be from the top down. Your first depot could have been built at the top where like it's like at the top of the wall, so that if you had a tank between the first the two tanks on the low ground, that tank could then shoot super far out. That could shoot a stalker if it were to shoot your depot wall. If you built it like on the top side first, on the top, like the closest side into your natural on the top side of the wall of the choke point, and then as you got tank 3 and tank 4 out, your wall extended deeper down, because the fact that you don't have a wall right now is also scary, and you're being forced to build depots on the high ground or in the back of your natural and also on the high ground in the back of your main. Like you definitely don't want to build these depots until you've already fully walled your natural through your main, which you've already done, and then build the depots walling your natural out entirely. This is super scary. If you ever feel like you have to make depots like this, it's because your tanks are awkwardly placed.
Right.
I do like your command center timing in this game though, overall. Like it was kind of greedy. It will be a little bit later overall if you do the build I recommended you in the example I gave you, which is totally fine, because it's gonna help you survive a lot against other people who do weird shit in the early game. But I really like the fact that you're building one CC after another, after another, after another. This is one of the biggest weaknesses of a lot of players is they don't fucking do this. So the fact that you are already doing it I love it. It's good. Keep doing that. That's very good. You're doing it again. I love it. That's super good.
Yeah, cool.
And you oversaturated your natural to fully saturate your third almost like right away. That's really good. Like you already have like 12 SCVs going there immediately, which is very nice. I don't like your movement though with your army. I feel like this is lazy and this is very risky. Number one, you want to spread your tanks out. And number two, you want to make sure you have like half of your tanks are in hard to kill spots. So what you could have done is you could have left like 2 tanks behind your wall at your natural if there was a depot wall there, and you could have left like all but maybe 1 depot down, or sorry, all but 1 depot up, so only 1 depot was down. So in case you got attacked to your natural, you could easily just raise it, and those 2 tanks will definitely help you start the fight off really well. Your tank on the high ground, you could have unsieged it to where it was covering your natural, because now it doesn't really cover your natural really well because you have a new wall again. You could move that tank to the left side of the top of your third. And you could now have a tank on the high ground right above your third mineral line, to where if someone dives your base over here, that tank can definitely help you. And then your other tank, your fourth tank, could have been like on the side of like maybe the gas, on the right side of the gas or something like that, like just tucked away back behind the resources, so that it can also shoot if shit arrives. And then you could move all of your initial Hellbat Thor like you did over towards your third. So if units arrive, they will initially engage on the Hellbats and the Thor, and your tanks will pound them away. And then your new units can reinforce the natural wall, like shit like that. Like that's how ideally it should have gone for you. But this third base just looks very exposed. Your fourth base is fine because it's going to be a PF, but your third base is very, very exposed. It's very scary. And then to make it even better, your next depots could be actually at your third base as well. If you want to get in the habit of doing that, you could wall off the entrances, like the choke points of your third base with a depot wall, just like you're supposed to do your natural. So you have all these like doorways that are covered by depots that buy you time so your workers don't die.
Oh, yeah.
Hell, thank you for the
A
subs,
full
guys.
year.
Appreciate you,
Let's
man.
go.
Thank you, thank you. Much love, boys.
Command center upgrade complete.
Yeah, I love your command centers, man. Command centers are really good. Your upgrades are also not bad. For like armories. Your factory timings as well are not bad. You're really starting to explode your factory count as you can afford it. I would say maybe you waited a little too long. You could have probably gone to 5 factories, like as your third base got saturated, like fully saturated, and you started saturating your fourth. You exploded your factory count to 5 as your fourth base was fully saturated. It's not the worst thing in the world though. Like either way, it's actually okay. But I think you could do it probably a little faster if you want to make it a little bit, like if you want a little bit of improvement. You could do it.
Vibugasm, Terran Vibugasm, Vibugasm, Terran Vibu.
Sorry, I got distracted right there. You could do it a little bit quicker.
Yeah, I've definitely got the float for it.
Yeah, and then you know, like I think you're getting distracted as well by like the voids and shit like that. But like getting you know, more tech labs out for more production and shit like that. It's not there. Yeah, obviously it's not that hard to fix, but overall your timings are not bad. Your SCV count up to this point is great. The biggest thing of all, your expansions are looking great as well. It's super good. Make sure too, just get in the habit of doing this. Maybe every like 30 seconds or maybe every 1 minute, just select all your army and just literally go select the army, Thor's high impact payload. Done. Select my whole army, like a minute later, Thor's high impact payload. It'll never take Thor's out of high impact payload if you do it on all of them again and again and again. It'll only put new ones into it. But like right now, you could have killed these voids on a move if they were high impact payload, but the fact that they're still an explosive payload or explosive mode, it's both voids are probably going to live here, I imagine, and it's just going to feel shit. Like you definitely want to be on high impact like all the time. The only time it's ever really acceptable, honestly, for a real situation would be against Zerg if you're blind first until you're ready to move out, just in case they might go mutas as an opener. And then yes, the explosive payload is better against mutas because you're going to punish the mutas a lot harder, because mutas are not effective when it's like 1 or 2 of them, which is when high impact payload would actually be better. But explosive mode is way better against like 10 mutas or like 15, which is because of AoEs, and that would be, you know, so much more useful. So just try to get in the habit of always putting in high impact against Protoss and Terran like all the time.
Add-on.
Yeah.
Our SCVs are under attack.
SCV ready.
And if you, yeah. Like the fact that you didn't kill him, your planetary almost died. Like this is starting to just kind of fall apart for you now, at this point in the game. So they could have just died if they were in high impact, so it would have made your life a little easier. Yeah, just but don't overdo it. Don't be like, don't freak out.
Is under attack.
This is annoying as fuck for you because now you're losing 2 command centers. But just keep macroing. Don't panic. Keep building command centers. This is exactly why I love that you're still doing it. This is fucking super good. because you can take damage like this and still recover from it. There you go. Now you went high impact. That's good. It took you a little while to do that, but you eventually did it. And then all your Hellbats are in Hellbat mode, which is good. I like that a lot. Definitely should be in that. So that's good. But yeah, you're actually, like, I would say you're a little behind now, but you're definitely not out of the game yet. And like you say, you won this game, so I mean I can believe that.
SCVs are under attack. Mineral field depleted.
Yeah, like these voids are becoming such a fucking annoyance for you. And it's just like a cascading effect from earlier on, and he's making more as well. So here's another tip: every time you take a new base, always like I would say this. This is a new thing I'm gonna give you, or I'm gonna tell you, and I think it'll help you a lot. Every time you make a base, or when you make your engineering bay, you make your 2 turrets like right away at like 3:30 or whatever it was. Every time you take another base, at the base, make 1 turret in the center of the mineral line, and then if your opponent is someone like this, where he harasses you with air before you max, I wouldn't mind if you then made a 2nd turret if you're finding it annoying, like at the other side, like so you can make it like next to your command center as well, like around the other side or near the first turret or whatever. And then when you move out, when you're ready to move out and you're like, okay, well now I'm gonna go attack, I wouldn't mind it then as well if you ramped up all of your turrets at every base, guaranteed to like 2 or maybe even 3 at that point, because you're already maxed then and you'll have a lot of extra bank then. But like for instance though, like I don't know if you built a turret at all at this PF while it died the first time. I'm gonna speed through it and just kind of see that. I want to see. Did this base ever have a turret? You did. Okay, so like I'm glad that you did do it. So you had the right idea. It's just that if the Thors were head back payload, they would have gone up. But since you didn't kill them, the base died. So I mean that's fine. I'm glad that you do that though. I didn't actually know you did that. I just wanted to make sure you're doing that. But that's fine. Because I don't mind that you're doing it now. Because you actually have you had 80 SCVs up until you're losing SCVs to these voids. Just you have the right idea is all I'm saying. It's just maybe. Alright, yeah, no, yeah, you have the right idea. The only reason why you're not max is because this is starting to do a lot of damage to you. The real answer to this is just high impact payload, and everything else would have felt good.
Yeah, I've definitely got to get into the habit. Like I swap them out when I hit max, but I'm not doing it throughout the game.
Yeah, it's like the exact same thing I talked about when I was like, put 4 as a barracks, and when your first SCV scout happens, so you just check. That kind of thing should be happening all game for you, and it's always checking something, checking your upgrades, checking your units, making sure they're good to go, like not microing them, but just making sure they're in the right mode, checking your orbital command energy, checking your supply, checking your mineral lines. You always want to be checking. And you're like, the one thing I do like though, you are doing a good job about checking your factory count, and you are doing a good job about checking your command center build time, like your upkeep of building command centers. That is very good. Most people take forever to fucking get that down. So the fact that you already are doing that, that's a very big positive for you.
Our SCVs are under attack. Mineral field.
Because I think the biggest problem a lot of people have is they like,
Base is
ViBE, why can't I get out of platinum? And I look at their games and it's like 13 minutes and they have 4 command centers. That's all they've made all game. I'm just like, fuck. You need to expand more, dude.
command center upgrade.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like you're gonna. This fight's kind of like. I mean, you do crush his ass. I was gonna say this fight's kind of like either way. The reason why is because Immortals are amazing against Thor, but Hellbats are amazing against Zealot, and you had a fuckload of Zealot get roasted by your Hellbats. So, I mean, your Thors had a lot of uptime on just shooting the Immortals right off the bat, so that was nice. But yeah, I mean, Thors are just fucking solid units either way. Overall, good shit though. Like I said, the biggest thing that will help you here in this game is definitely fixing the two big things. Number one is the setup of the early game. The way I talked about like the tank positioning, that's huge, and setting up your depot walls and shit like that. It's definitely going to help you not get screwed. And then obviously just fixing the build the way we already showed you, and you have the replay for that to kind of have a guide as well if you forget what we talked about, or you can just watch the VOD again. So that's number one, just fixing up the early game positioning and the build. And number two, seriously, if you just went high impact payload, like I know I already said it, but I'll just say it again, because that would have fixed so many fucking problems for you, because those voids 100% would have died. And those voids have been causing so much fucking annoyance for you, and because it kept happening, and like those first two voids that would have died, they just denied your turrets, and those turrets, if they didn't get denied, would have denied the next follow-up voids. Easy. So that will definitely help you a lot in the long run. And then if you weren't being annoyed by voids, you might have actually saved your PF as well right off the bat when it got killed the first time from the actual ground army in middle right of the map. But props though to the fact that you keep fucking making CCs, and you've lost like 3 command centers this game, and you just keep making more. So I mean, you already have the ability to go right back into fucking 6 bases right now, which is super good. So that's very, 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 very good. But yeah, right now, do you have any questions about anything we just talked about?
No, I think that's pretty good. Yeah, no, I think that's okay.
All right. I would say lastly then, here's some numbers for you just in case, like, and also just know, like, I do feel like ever since I made the series, I have gotten better at Terran as well. So I might give you information that might be slightly altered now. That's more tuned for relevancy for today. But just make sure as well, like I just said, you're going to be going for upgrades 2-2 and 3-3 on your armories. Right around the time when you hit about 160 to 180 supply. There's 2 things you should be doing here, okay? Number 1, you should be sending a Hellion around the map on both sides. Right around then, you should be going, okay, where did you fucking expand? So it could be, like, it doesn't have to be exactly 160 every game. It's just like a window, like somewhere when you're almost maxed. But don't do it when you are maxed because you don't want to waste time. So 160 is great. 180 is still fine. It's still on the upper end of like what's acceptable. But there's 2 things you do here. Is number 1 is you scout the map with your Hellions. And number 2 is pair that with the other upgrades that are the one-time only things, which is the tech lab on a factory and the engineering bay. So what you would do then is, so you want to pair it when you go, okay, I'm getting ready to move out, and when I move out, I want to make sure I have blue flame on the way. I want to make sure I have smart servos on the way, and I want to make sure I have building range and building armor. That way, if you get attacked and your base is more sustainable. It's gonna not get fucked over as easy. And if you attack his army, you have a better chance to not fuck it up because you can smart servo that shit in case you were like, oh shit, I need to go like high impact payload really fast, or there's a Hellions I need to make into Hellbats. You can just swap it quickly, or if for whatever reason it makes sense to swap into explosive mode, you can. But again, I don't really expect you to do that right now. That's not a requirement. It's just nice in case you did not fucking do high impact payload, because it's like a 3-second transformation versus like a 1-second transformation. It's ridiculous. I mean,
yeah,
it's nice. And then blue flame obviously is just gonna make your Hellions destroy fucking zealots, like even harder. So definitely worth it. And then it's just nice to have. And then it's a like I said, it's a one-time thing only. So if you just pair that with the first time you scout the map, you never have to do it again. You can still scout the map from that point on after that, but you never have to get those upgrades again because you have them all game. And then from there, it's just doing what you've already been doing, which is keep ramping your factory count as you also ramp your command center count. And try to aim realistically. If the game is not actually a position where you're starving, if you're able to really maintain a good economy, try to maintain about 16 to 20 factories. Anywhere in there is acceptable. And also try
ViBE, happy ViBE, happy ViBE.
Try to maintain about, I would say, 8 to 10 orbital commands once you get to that stage where you have like the fucking map kind of controlled here. If you can have 8 to 10 orbitals and you just put them anywhere in your base, it does not matter where, just put them in your base somewhere that's not like, don't expand to a new base with it. Your first 3 bases actually at the mineral lines that are orbitals, those are the only orbitals that should be an actual orbital by itself. If you do put orbitals like on top of a PF somewhere else, that's not that bad because you have a PF there too. Just make sure that the orbitals are like covered by either like they're in your base somewhere or they're covered by a PF if you put them at expansions that have a PF there too. So like 8 to 10 orbitals, and then every other base that is actually at a expansion is a PF, And that is literally just however many gold mines are on the map, or mineral lines are on the map. Not every map's the same on that. And that's literally it. So you just expand every fucking time you can, take another base, take another base, take another base, and then aim for like 8 to 10 orbitals for just mule dumping the shit out of your new bases, and also having lots of scans you can work with. And those are really what you want to aim for.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Hi, man. Trying to think about anything else I can tell you right now, but shit. I mean, it's really the beautiful thing about Terran is you know what? Actually, you know what I'm gonna do? I want to give you a little bit more. I'm gonna actually go to this. And I'm going to do what I kind of did the first game. And I'm going to talk to you about his scouting a little bit. I'm going to talk to you about relevancy of shit. Just for like... I don't want you to think about this too hard. But I want you to have the idea of what means what. And then we'll kind of wrap it up after that. Because like, if you keep progressing... Like, if you do everything I just said... With, like, you know, the build and all that shit... You should progress. I guarantee you should progress. And then once you get to, like, upper plat... To, like, getting ready to go into diamond as well... This scouting shit is going to start becoming relevant. Like, it's going to start to becoming a mandatory thing.
Yeah, there's so much front-loaded information you need with the scouting.
Yeah.
It's so hard.
So the biggest thing, if you do start going into the scouting realm more and more, you really, really, really need to scout both gases. And you really need to scout where his pylons are. So let me explain how this kind of goes. Your SCV gets into his base. You see a pylon, a core, and double gate, and a gas. Now, I'm going to throw this out there and say, look at your resources. You have 500 in the bank. You have a barracks almost done, which means you're going to be able to afford a orbital command. And you should just pair it with what means what here, okay? And this is what I mean by this. His cyber core... Also, think about this. This is actually a kind of a fact as well. Check this out, too. Let me say this first, then I'll go back to the other thing I was going to say in a second. The build time of a pylon, the build time of a gateway, and the build time of a core are the same build times for Terran, respectively, for the thingies that you make with them. The only difference is an orbital command is a little bit faster than a cyber core. A cyber core actually has the same build time as a PF, but... It's whatever, who cares? It's the same cost as the big thing here. But look at how his core is already 7 seconds in production, and your barracks is actually not done yet. That, I feel like if we went back and looked at it at the start of the game, that already would tell you, if you were like, oh shit, his core is like a little bit of the ways in already, and my barracks isn't done yet, that means your depot was late. So if I were to ask you why the depot was late, I would imagine you probably pulled an SCV to go build that, delayed in some way. So if I actually back it up now and look at this, I bet your SCV was just late on building it.
Yeah, he harasses it.
Yeah. That's right. Sorry, you're right. That is why. I apologize. I like forgot about that.
No, that's all right. I mean,
yeah, but it proves that it's delayed. But yeah, you're right. I totally forgot about the perimeter house.
but I can do better, like you said, pull 2, so it's not slowed down.
Yeah, exactly. Because like shit like that, I mean, it does suck, right? Like it sets you behind. So
yeah, it adds up.
Yeah. So now going back to your scout. So we know the investments, okay? So I just want to talk about like you're delayed. That's why you're delayed. But now the investments. We see double gate, pylon, and a core and a gas. We don't know if he has a second gas, but we know there's a single gas. So we can match it up with what you have. Gas to gas is matched up. Pylon to depot, that's matched up. Gateway to barracks, so far that's matched up. But he has, and now he's got the core, and now you're going to start the orbital soon. That's matched up. But he has the extra investment of another gate that you do not have. So if you had that as well, you would just subtract 150 minerals off of your build 2. Because again, you guys should, right now, there should be no reason for deviation. Realistically, at this point in time, it's very minimal. So if you really wanted to get a rough estimate of how much minerals this proto should have right now, he should have like 200. And if he had like 200 and he has a double gate with a core finishing soon, this most likely does not mean he's going to go for a fast natural. It most likely means he's probably going to make some type of a unit he's going to pressure you with. And it most likely makes sense that that unit he's going to pressure you with is either going to be an adept or a stalker. And the reason why for that is because you need a core to make either one of those units. Like, you're probably not going to make fucking zealots, because if he was going to make zealots, he would have probably made 2 gateways before the core even started. Instead of making gateway and then a really delayed second gate and then a core. So, and then also, yeah, like the fact that you didn't scout the second gas and he takes the second gas pretty soon after you leave. I mean, it's whatever. It's just, this is kind of a standard like double gate open for Protoss. It lines up for more aggression possibilities. This just means that if he does expand, it's going to be late, but there's a higher chance that he's going to pressure you. So like if you were to read that from this build, okay, pressure from gateway. The only way you should react to this in the simplest way, without having to make it super convoluted and confusing, is be assertive about how you place your tanks, which is what I kind of hearkened. If we like back up for a second here, back on what I talked about with what I want you to improve on, I talked about tank placement. Like that is the only, that is what you should read from the way you play the game to how you're going to counter how he plays the game. If this build was like 1 gate expand and you kind of had like awkward fucking tank placement, you would not get punished for it. It wouldn't matter at all because he wouldn't be able to do anything about that. So you wouldn't even know the difference. But because this dude has the ability to punish you now a little bit if you make a mistake like bad tank placement, it can cause problems for you. And obviously it didn't kill you or anything like that, but it did fuck over your depot wall. And if this guy wanted to take advantage of that, he could have, like I said, he could have like charged all into you early on in the game, and that probably could have killed you. So
yeah,
just try to get a read on what's happening in a good way. And like, yeah, the easiest way to read this is, okay, cool, ground aggression. Let's just get good tank placement. Make sure I'm not fucking my depot wall up. Make sure that shit is going down quick. And I just make taking the high ground always first, taking the low ground where it needs to be. And if he's got melee units, you can be a little bit more exposed with your tank, because if it's melee, they dive into range easier. But if it's like Zerg, for instance, you could be a little more aggressive about how you place your tank, so you can make a depot wall further out if you really wanted to. But if it's range units, you really want to make sure your tanks are covered properly with the proper range. And the way you can check that is with your tank. You click the tank and you can go, oh, that's how far it is. I'll siege like halfway through that. And if you always do that rule right there, you don't have to know the range of every unit in the game. Just know if you do the halfway rule, okay? If you siege halfway through the first tank siege radius with your second tank, you will counter every unit in the game that will be relevant in the tank phase of the game before you have Thors. Because a Stalker, a Marine, a Marauder, an Adept, a Sentry, a Roach, a Ravager, what else is there? Is that it? All those units, a Queen, all of these units will get fucked over by that. Every one of them. None of them have more than 6 to 7 range. It's really like 6 range or 5 range on all of those. So, and a tank has 13. So if you do the halfway rule, you will always punish those units with 2 tanks at a time. Because one of your first tank would be shooting max range, and your second tank would be shooting, like with a lot of spare range.
Yeah, it makes sense.
All right. So it's just really, scouting for double gas or single gas or whatever. That's a big deal. All right, man. Well, also the thing I didn't say as well is with Protoss, if you look at your supply, and you're like, well, I am getting close to. Here, let me just say this. Let me just say this. This is a final tip I'll give you. That makes a lot of sense. So once you get to about 20 supply, like you are right now, just know Terran slows down for a moment compared to Protoss. And the reason why is because you stop making workers to make an orbital command, and Protoss continues making workers really fast because of Chrono Boost. So it might not happen as much with your SCV scout, which is totally fine. But if you want a quick tip, like once you get to about 2 minutes in the game, or when you're around 20 supply and your orbital is finished and you're starting to make workers again, if you have a Reaper, which would be this would be a very realistic Reaper timing to go into his base. If you had a Reaper going into his base If you do not see a second pylon in his base, you're getting proxied. That is a very big deal. That is a very easy way to read Protoss.
Yeah, makes sense. Happens all the time.
Yeah, I imagine a lot of people proxy. So, yeah, that's more of a Reaper Scout thing. So that's something you can grow into. 2 minute, no second pylon in his main means you're getting fucking proxied. And then you probably should make, figure out what the hell it is. With maybe send the Reaper out of his base and go find out where the proxy is. Like you can literally shift a move around the map if you want to, or if you don't scout it, that's also fine. Just do the standard build like we talked about, which is make a turret in each middle line, make tanks to depot wall, and then go into Thor's fast, and you should be okay. For the most part, like in Platinum League, you should be fine.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, good shit. I know I asked this before, but I'll just do it one more time because we talked about some more stuff. Do you have any final questions about anything?
Nah, all good. Thank you for taking so much extra time.
No, you're all good, man. Yeah, I would do good luck, and I'll post the VOD to you. I'll probably message you on Discord, probably by tomorrow or like maybe later tonight after I post it to YouTube, and then yeah, dude, good luck. And I feel like this new refined version of it will definitely help you with like the current versions of what the bullshit people throw at you.
Yeah, great. I'll see you in Plat 2 maybe, hopefully.
Alright, sounds good, dude. Alright, man, take it easy. Alright, guys, that has been a coaching lesson with our boy Rough Mercies. Rough Mercies, much love, man, for doing a coaching lesson. And yeah, guys, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, please don't hesitate to check out some more if you want more. I have tons of coaching lessons, tons of I have bronze GM stuff, coaching stuff, replay analysis stuff. I have lots of stuff if you want to learn, if you want to keep learning how to play StarCraft. By all means, there's tons of it out there for you. Go check them out. Well, thank you for watching. I will see you guys in the next one. So until then, good luck to you. And stay healthy, stay happy, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace, guys.